Hello everyone, welcome back to the Kirklees Guitar School Podcast. I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. George Loveridge. How you doing, George?
I'm good, James. Episode 9 already.
I know, of season 2.
Yes.
Was it 16 episodes
16,
of season
yes, so we're more than halfway there now, aren't we?
Excellent. So, how's your week been? Has it been a rock or a roll this week?
When I wrote, we've got a little crib sheet and I sort of write the sort of script, if you like. It's just little bullet points. I wrote roll because Monday things were rolling.
Go on then.
Over the weekend. I've just spent 2.5 brand new Les Pauls worth on my old Triumph. Okay. On making it sound and not have holes in it.
For those of you not watching in Technicolor today, I'll put a picture of George's pride and joy.
I picked it up from having work done. It's great. It still looks pretty tatty, but there's more bits for me to do. It's got no gearbox cover in it, so I can see the engine from where I'm sat, and there's the motorway going underneath. Get on the M62, it won't do more than 40 miles an hour, and it sounds like a box of spanners in a biscuit tin being shaken up.
So without going on a major tangent, because this is a guitar podcast.
It is, yes.
Have you any idea what's wrong with it?
Well, I had my phone on a suction mount for my sat-nav, and it started getting... And I was like, this is really bad. Started filming, all of a sudden it went... Like, it was a massive bang,
right.
And the tapping got even worse. And the bang was so bad, the whole car sort of shook. I'm like, oh. In terms of guitar playing, this week has neither been a rock nor a roll. I'm just enjoying teaching again. It'll be a roll next week after we've been to the guitar show. But yeah, very concerning, worrying. I sort of put it back in the garage and shut my eyes, and I've hoped that the magic engine pixies are going to fix it.
Okay. So you're one of those. Bury your head in the sand and worry about it later.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to it on Saturday. But yeah, that's why it's a roll. Sort of, it's very much music and guitar. Music and cars are my thing, and the yin and yang need to be restored.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, it's stroll this week. To be honest, I've blinked and it's Thursday again. I don't know. It's there's not really a lot to report. Really, we're second week of term, so everything's kind of settled down on the KGS front. I've put some bits up for sale. If those of you following on the Facebook group, including this guitar, it's currently up for sale. So send me a message if you're interested in it. But nothing to report. So what are we going to talk about today?
Before we do that, actually, I've got to mention something because there were some students there at the time. You locked me in the studio on Monday. Accidentally.
Yes.
I was quietly prepping my lessons and James was like, oh, there's nobody here. I'll lock the door. And I went to print something and the door was locked. So when these students arrived, they said, oh, you've locked us out. I'm like, no, I've been in here while you've been teaching ukulele. So there's no bad blood or anything. It's quite funny.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been funny if there'd have been some
Fire.
sort of emergency or something. It's actually quite serious when you think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was but
Hey-ho.
I'm not intentionally trying to kill you, George.
Oh, no, not yet anyway.
Not yet. No, we're not there yet.
On today's show, we're talking about fancy chords. We'll make it much better for the title later when we think about it, but fancy chords. A lot of people know E major, E minor, the end. Maybe a D7, God forbid. But we're going to hopefully show you a load of fancy chords. So that's our neck deep portion today. Fancy chords, the technical focus. Then we're going to show you how to turn, say, a C to a C major 7 to a C minor 7. We're going to go through all the ways we can do that. And then the tone talk is where and why you'd use them. And hopefully, like our intro jam, we integrated some of those fancy chords, and the outro jam is going to do the same. And of course, we've got Pick Our Brains, where we've loaded up some questions from both the Facebook group and the YouTube comments.
Excellent. So I think this is worth. I think it's worth just sort of prefacing all this. This topic's often covered under the subheading of chord extensions. Sometimes you'll see a chord like E minor 7, E minor 9, E minor 7 flat 5. Oh
Steady.
My gosh,
Steady.
exactly. Now, when you're looking at those chords, I think when a guitarist first looks at those, they go, oh my God, there's so many chords to remember. How am I going to fit all these into my brain? Now, actually, a better way to look at this is E minor 7 is a formula. So it's an E minor chord with the 7th note of the scale put in. A G6 is a G chord with the 6th note of the scale put in. And actually, a little bit of music theory is going to go a really long way to help you. Rather than trying to remember 1,000 chord shapes, remember 12 and a couple of key principles on how to manipulate those chords to get what you need. Okay. For those of you that sort of, when we start talking about flat thirds and minor seconds and major sevenths and all this kind of stuff, there's a music theory course coming on the KGS online website within the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks. Sit tight, maybe revisit this episode and watch it a second time after looking at all that, and it should have made a little bit more sense to you. So, where do we start then? Can you show? I think it's how they sound
would be nice. Okay, so we're going to venture back into the dark territory that is bar chords as well today, I think. But we'll start with some open chords.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, a lot of the time when you see a chord chart and you see it says, like, a lot of Eagle stuff might have an E minor 7 in it because it just sounds nice. That's the point. It sounds nice. So in terms of sound then, let's start with an E minor chord. Okay. Your box standard E minor chord. If I want an E minor 7, there's two schools of thought with this one. If you take your regular E minor and you take your ring finger off that chord, there's not a lot of difference, but there is. Now, visually, we can remember that as taking your ring finger off that chord. We haven't lost anything. We've just swapped. That's how I'm doing about it. We've taken this E, the octave, and we've added a D.
By subtracting that second fret from the D string.
I could also add a higher octave D in there, which is my pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string. That's a bit better, isn't it?
And I think as well, there's another way to look at that, which some of us students may have come across before, which is what I call the Noel Gallagher E minor. So something like right. Wonderwall, you play your E minor, you take your ring finger and your pinky, and you press that D note on the 3rd fret of the B string and that G note on the 3rd fret of the high E string. So you're actually pressing down 4 notes at the same time. Now, when I see E minor 7 in a strumming context, I will always go to that shape.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like, and oftentimes a G comes after it, and I will take that shape move that middle finger up to the 3rd fret of the low E string to give you this.
Go on, finish it off.
No, can't do that. Can't possibly do that.
There's a lot of songs that have that, and it's what you call a pedal note, a note that keeps coming back. Christina Perri, 1,000 Years. Starts on
Time of Your Life, Green Day?
Yeah. Okay, then. Now, for those watching, you might have seen that my ring finger never moved. It stayed with that D. All the time, it's always coming back to that one note. So let's look at, do you want to do an A minor 7 from A minor?
Yeah, so if you take an A minor chord, your bog standard A minor, 3 fingers on the fretboard, where you're pressing the 2nd fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G, and index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. If we subtract our ring finger from that, now minor 7 chords are my favourite out of all of these. They just have this certain air of class. Just listen to that again. This is just a bog standard A minor. A minor 7.
It goes from sad to sort of eerie, but wispy, magical.
Wispy, that's a good word.
For a Thursday, yeah, we'll go for that.
So, what about a C chord? Could you make we could take a C chord, because we've just done minor chords so far, so let's do a major chord.
We've done minor 7. All we're doing is adding the 7th note of the scale. Now, this is not to be confused with C. You then get, let me caveat this, you get minor 7, major 7. You also get then what I'd call a regular 7.
Dominant 7 is its Sunday name.
Think of that as your George Formby, I ain't cleaning windows, that sort of thing. Or when I'm cleaning windows, sorry. Let's go for C major 7. So regular C chord. You got your staircase. 1st fret on the B string, 2nd fret on the D string, 3rd fret on the A string, which is your C. Again, we're going to subtract this time our 1st finger. Ready? We often end some of our jams with that sort of thing.
The jam at the beginning of the Quad Cortex episode with both
very dreamy. Now, if I make C dominant 7, I'm adding my pinky onto the G string, which is a B flat. That's very different from...
A really good example of cycling through those chords.
Go on.
Are you going to say it? Were you thinking what I was thinking there?
3, 2, 1, something. There we go. Oh, that was cute, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that's C major 7, C dominant 7. Does it go to F then?
So there is a name for that chord progression, that order, because there's so many songs. David Bennett Piano has a video on that progression, because you can do it in other keys.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely. It's this nice fall from C. So if you're doing that in open, so you're just going to learn a song now with us. C, first finger comes off to make it the major 7. Pinky goes on the G string, but first finger's come back on again. What a nice thing.
And it's kind of got this kind of, it's still, the harmony's staying the same. The rudimentary kind of like foundation of those chords stay the same, but the note, there's just one note moving on the top, and it's just absolute like peak Beatles at the peak of their kind of ability.
We'll get on tone talk is where you'd use them, because you don't want to chuck that C major 7 into Brown Eyed Girl.
Well, and we'll demonstrate that as well, because it will sound gross. So there's, I think, just before we move on from there, and we maybe have a look at some bar chords. I feel like we just need to tread a little bit of ground back over. I feel like we went through it a little bit quick, and we might have created more questions than we've answered. So, there's two regular types of chords, what we call triads, which is a major chord and a minor chord. So you can have C major and C minor. Those two chords, you can add the 7th note of the respective scale that goes with each of those chords to create major 7 or minor 7. Okay? Yep. To create sometimes you'll see a chord like D7, G7. Now that doesn't stipulate whether it's major or minor, does it?
No.
Well, that's what we call a dominant chord. This is what George was talking about
earlier. And that's default major, isn't it?
So it's a major chord, but it takes the 7th note from the minor scale instead of the major scale. So instead of this, it gives you this.
Yes, because that's C major 7, we're adding a B, whereas it's B flat for the dominant 7.
Yeah. So there's 3 kinds of 7th chords. Now 7th chords is where you start. 9th chords takes the 9th note of the scale. Now, how do you get, there's only 8 notes in a scale, so how do you get 9?
Well, am I right in thinking that's what we're going for, that sort of shape? Very bluesy. To be honest, you'll have to go through it, because I'm going to end up waffling on it. It's what I was led to believe is the Hendrix chord. You'd shift that up. I know it's slightly different, that.
E minor 7 sharp 5 is its Sunday name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a ninth chord. The 9th note of the scale is if you put 2 octaves of the same scale next door to each other, the 9th note is the 2nd degree of the 2nd octave. If that makes sense. So if I go C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 1 octave. Well, if I keep going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So adding that 9th note of the scale in, which that's really common in kind of funk and soul. People like James Brown, all the James Brown stuff.
I Feel Good as well.
Yeah. That's...
Can I get the BS bingo in?
Yeah.
Sir Duke has it.
Yeah, which is some really cool movable shapes. So you'll see 9, 11th, 13th chords, and those are notes that are put into the chord that are borrowed from the octave above, which usually it normally has one note that's quite far away from all the others.
If you can visualise, I always think of a keyboard or a piano when I'm talking about this sort of thing. If you make your normal chord and then you add other fingers in, that's what we're talking about here. It's adding other stuff. So I've written down here the different voicing. This is what we call voicings of chords. So we've got E, E minor, E7. We've got E major 7, which is like that C, but we kicked it up a little bit. Your elbow transposition. E minor 7, E9. That's just an E chord. But all we've remembered is a certain formula to change it.
What happens if somebody, God forbid, somebody is on ultimateguitar.com and not Kirklees Guitar School online, and they're coming across a chord that they don't recognise, like E minor 9? What's another chord that they could play to substitute that if they don't know the shape?
Well, I've always gone for just your regular E minor.
Correct. And that's a really common misconception. Just because there's a chord with an extension that you don't recognise, actually, at face value, it's still the same. It's still got the same foundations. It's just got an extra note added on top. So if you come across a particularly tricky chord change or a chord that you don't recognise and you don't have an hour spare in your practice routine to go down that rabbit hole to learn one chord for one song, just play an E minor.
It's not cheating.
It'll sound fine.
You're just taking away from it a little bit. I'm trying to think of a food analogy. It's like just not. You've still got your bare bones of what you're making or what you're eating, but it's just not. It's like a burger without ketchup sort of thing. You still get the burger.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of get in their own way with that stuff rather than just enjoying it for what it is. If you've got half an hour to play guitar and you don't want to spend 25 minutes of that half an hour agonising over one chord shape, just use what you know. I do it all the time professionally.
Yeah. So it depends what you're playing. If Tears for Fears Rule the World is a really good example of this. That you obviously start with the... but then you get this thing. Now, if you look on ultimateguitar.com, you will see it says E11. You're like, what? Numbers don't go that high on the guitar. All it is, it's a synth chord. Because on synth or a piano, that's so easy to play by comparison. It's effectively on guitar, you open E strings. So I go from this, what looks like a D major 7 shit. I think it's an A sus2. Can you just pedal a D for me? Now that looks really scary, E11. But actually when you delve down, sometimes there are some really nice, again, not cheats, but ways to get around it.
But if I'm in, but it's your attitude towards it as well. Like, you don't have to, like, if I'm in sound check with a band, like the Northern Live stuff is full of sixth chords. Mm-hmm. I won't say to the keys player on that gig, "Oh, just play me that G6 chord again. Just play as that G." You know, I think because it's a new concept, a lot of people kind of get in their own way and kind of in their own head make it a lot bigger deal than it is. So we're sort of getting out in the weeds here. Let's bring it back in. What about some bar chord shapes that we could apply this to?
So let's take an A shape minor chord initially. So let's take B minor. Or is that too low, do you think? Or should we stick with... Because I'm thinking something like Hotel California is a great example.
Let's stick with B minor then.
So let's start from basics. Imagine you make an A minor for me, please, but your first finger doesn't exist. We're going to slide that across 1, 2 frets, and your first finger's going to cover the second fret like a bar chord, like a capo, sorry, to make a bar chord. We don't need the low E string for this chord. That's B minor. If you take your pinky off, which is what your ring finger would have done before, that's an instant minor 7 chord anywhere on the neck. That sounds very jazzy.
Yeah, and it's really common in kind of sort of most things with a clean tone using bar chords from 1970 onwards, really. It's got this lovely, it makes you sound really upmarket without actually doing that much. Yeah?
What about a major 7 then?
Okay, so a major 7, what we'll do is let's do it in open position and then apply it to a bar chord. So if we take an A major chord, the 3 notes stood on top of each other, second fret on the D, the G and the B strings. I'm going to take the middle note, this A note, and I'm going to flatten it. Now when we flatten a note, we essentially drop it by 1 fret. So this second fret here on the G string, I'm now going to replace with the first fret of the G string.
Lovely.
Major 7th chords, it's just like all's right in the world.
Yeah, everything's nice.
Yeah? Right, I want you to shuffle around with your fingers to enable you to have your index finger free. So I'm going to press the second fret with my ring finger on the D string, the first fret of the G string with my middle finger, and then my pinky's going to take the second fret of the B string. I'm now going to take that shape and I'm going to kick it up 1 fret and then bar the first fret. That's our bar chord shape. Now, I don't expect you to do it there straight away, but that's the bar chord shape in situ, and we're going to take that and move it up now. Now, wherever the lowest note is, where your index finger's playing on the A string, that's what's called your root. So that's that's a B flat, is that? So that's a B flat major 7. I want us to take that. Instead of playing the index finger on the first fret, while keeping the same shape, I want to take that and I want to move it right up to the 7th fret of the same string. Now that makes me think of
I wouldn't think that. I'd think
From-
Valerie, Amy Winehouse.
from he says.
Oh, go on.
Oh, you've put me on the spot.
Is that Under the Bridge, that one?
Yeah, bit of Red
So-
Hot Chili Peppers.
In terms of how we'd use it, this is sort of sliding into our tone talk a bit prematurely. Think Valerie, Amy Winehouse. That's just E, an F sharp minor in the verse. I know it's tuned to E flat, the Zootons and Amy Winehouse, but sounds fine. So that's the same chords for the verse and the chorus. It's just the pre-chorus that's different. Well, what if I want to mix it up? I'm going to play, instead of E major and F sharp minor, in the chorus, I'm going to play E major 7 and F sharp minor 7 in the chorus. So I'll do a round of my verse. Ready for the chorus?
And it
Changes.
frees up. Oftentimes, it
Yeah.
frees up another finger so that you can put.
Insert Nile Rodgers.
Yeah. All that kind of business. Wrong guitar for the job, but
Yeah.
you get the idea. And it's only really when I'm using a clean tone that I tend to put these in. I don't feel like if you put some distortion on.
Oh, no.
It
Not
doesn't
major
really
7.
have
Minor
that.
7ths.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Something like Long Train Running hammers onto that, doesn't it? But again, I'd use a clean tone for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Minor 7ths, if you play minor 7ths on the low E string, which we haven't done as bar chords. So if you let's make an E minor chord, but you're going to use your ring finger and your pinky. I'm going to slide that up by 1 fret, and your first finger picks up the damage. That's your minor shape on a bar chord. So if I take that to the 5th fret, that's A minor. If I take my pinky off, it's effectively a power chord, but you're resting your first finger on, so you've gone from... Now you could add the pinky in A on the 5th fret, your pinky's going to be on the 8th. That's a bit of a stretch, I must admit.
I just think it sounds a bit naff too.
It's because you want to be on the 6th fret, 8th fret, that's fine. So you're A, but then your pinky's going on the 8.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Every day's a school day at Kirklees Guitar School.
Well, I was really nervous I got that wrong then.
So how could you practice this at home? Say you've learnt a couple of shapes, you've come to see us
Brilliant.
for a lesson at Kirklees Guitar School. I think your first port of call, I think your natural instinct would be, I'm going to find something with loads of minor 7th chords in it, loads of 7th extensions in it. Something like, what's that Al Green song? Let's Stay Together by Al Green is full of it. Let's just bring it back in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Find a song that you already know that you can play with cowboy chords that's not Brown Eyed Girl and try it with that. So something like Candy by Palinatina would be a really good. So you've got A minor for 2 bars, E minor to G to D. So if I did that as minor 7 chords, I could do A minor 7, E minor 7, G major 7. Oh, that's a bit of
I was going to say, I'd leave G and D alone in that song.
Would you really?
So this is a big thing. I know a lot of students who I'd teach this to, and they'd do everything. You know when you get like a sticker book as a kid? You put the stickers down and then you go, put one there. And put, like you get an Apple sticker with your iPhone.
Yeah.
How many students do we teach that's got an Apple sticker on the guitar? Don't do it for everything. So can you do...
I'd suggest you try it as an intellectual exercise
Okay,
to
but
see
it's
how it
going to
sounds.
sound naff. So
Okay.
A minor 7,
Yeah.
lovely. E minor 7, bit more sophisticated. G major 7. D major 7 isn't going to cut it.
So in that instance, bring it up the octave then.
Yeah, okay.
And then the G major will come right up.
It depends. Some of them, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A good way, if you've got a normal chord progression, you want to finish on a nice chord, chuck a major 7 in
Yeah.
there. Like
Providing
C.
that the chord was major to start
Yes,
with.
yeah. If it's E minor, don't make it major 7. But like if you've got a chord progression that finishes on a C, instead of going, you can make it really cheesy, and it's what I do at all my weddings. It just sounds nice ending on a major 7. I don't know. I think I am going to use Brown Eyed Girl.
Right,
I'm
go on
gonna,
then.
I'm going to do it.
Go on, put us out of his misery.
Brown Eyed Girl, we've got G, C to G to D. I'm not going to have... It just doesn't work. It's too sweet.
It's very song specific, but like the jam that we started with and the jam that we're going to finish with utilise these chords a lot, and it does sort of lend itself more to a rather than relies on a lot of space to let the listener hear
ambient. It's vibey. It's that
Vibey.
sort of vibey.
Yeah.
Yeah, some so trendy. Yeah, so that's in terms of tone talk. Use them. Go back in the video, find the chords that we've done, and see how they work. What? Another Brick in the Wall, Pink Floyd.
Yes.
You're going from... That's day 1 of learning Pink Floyd. Day 2... Instant Sultans of Swing. People in this community love Sultans of Swing. Instead of D minor bar.
I actually play D minor 7.
Yeah, always.
Anyway.
To be honest, 99.9% of the time I'm playing D minor 7 because that seems to work. It's quite get out of jail free. And it gives you pinky a rest on the bar chord, of course. Rule number 1, guitarists are lazy.
Very good. Right, shall we see what the community is saying?
Yes, certainly. There's one that made us both giggle in the group.
My phone's all the way over there.
Oh no! I thought
I'll
you were
back
going to
this
say
one
we
to you
weren't
and
recording.
I'll go grab my phone.
Yeah, put the camera on me. So, of course, James every week shares this show in the Facebook group. If you're not part of it, join it. It's fantastic. Paul GH, who comments quite a lot, said, "Simple question, chaps." That's an oxymoron in itself in this instance. Simple question, chaps. Where do I start with scales, please, and why? I've never done any. Scales... People view scales as being really difficult and really sort of anal to learn. Like as a guitar teacher, unless we're doing improv, I don't like to give a student a scale because it seems evil. It's like practicing your spellings or your handwriting.
I disagree. I give them scales really, really early on to get burnt out practicing those rather than riffs that they want to learn.
Fair dues. See, I do that with spider exercise episode 1, day 1. Scales, okay, you mentioned why. Why? Because it's nice to know. As a musician, you get this sense of achievement knowing that, like we were talking earlier quite candidly, all right, C major 7 adds a B and C7 adds a B flat. It's because we can count up a scale and find those notes. Instant access for scales is your improvisation. I think that's the first door that opens when you learn, because you want to know why. I remember learning scales and thinking, well, why bother? But then you can do so much more with them. But for sort of the people in this group and how I've seen you all play, improv is your first port of call with a scale.
When you learn to read and write, you learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's really important that you understand the letters of the alphabet to craft the words, or you have the palette of colours to choose from to paint the picture. Mm-hmm. Scales are that thing, those component parts that you put together to either create something yourself or... Another big part of scales is if you're trying to figure out what somebody's doing, if you know the tools in their toolbox, you've more of a chance of figuring it out.
That's very true.
And also, I think as well, something that's neglected in scales, and a lot of teachers don't relay that to students, is there's so many little micro movements and little micro kind of muscle memory bits in this. You know, if you're practicing the major scale, turn me out back on. If you're practicing the major scale, the first position of the major scale, it should have been taught to you that you use your middle finger to start. Now there's lots of tricky little movements in that. And as I said before, I'd much rather a student got burnt out on these and fed up with the scales rather than... True. Because it'll come in from... There's so many other riffs that you can play with those little micro movements, and a good teacher will show you those scales to almost plant the seed, so then, but with a riff in mind to give you, that kind of, it feels oddly familiar, but you've never done it before.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's sort of my
even
thoughts.
Crazy Train, mention it every week recently, but that's your pentatonic.
Well, actually, and it uses your minor scale as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, sorry, was it Paul?
Yes, Paul GH in.
Yeah, so I think it's worthy of its own episode, Paul, but hopefully that's just kind of put a plaster on it for now and we'll address it at some point.
We'll give it like this has been chords. I think scales will come up soon.
Okay. Very good. Right then, so Alistair, now this is from the Barre Chords episode. I've pinched a few from the other episodes. Great episodes. I've been AWOL and had COVID again. So sorry, that sucks to be you, Alistair. I did notice that you've not been posting for the Feedback Fridays as much. Thanks for explaining when you move the bar chord how you determine what chord that becomes. Glad we could help you there, Alistair. James, I have to disagree. I'm not into any guitar with gold hardware.
Ooh.
So,
are you a gypsy at heart?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a funny story I'll tell you off camera around that. That's not very PC, so we can't say it on camera. Why not? Why not gold hardware? A black Les Paul with gold hardware is just...
Well, I've got my Strat, which I've got a chrome gold scratch
That's
plate.
too much. That is far too much.
See, this used to wear a chrome silver scratch plate. If you remember, I've still got it.
I don't, if I'm honest.
Right, so yeah, I've got it. It's telly's so easy to change, but the so chrome, it was like a mirror here, but then I set fire to this and poured coffee on it to make it look aged. Guitars are very much a player's taste. Some people will buy and Strat and Telecaster because they need and guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Deliberate, by the way, I'm not stupid. But then some people will go, well, actually, I want that Ibanez with the blue flame burst because that looks cool.
There's a Steve Vai signature gem that's got like blue floral patterns all over it, and it looks like, I can see why people are like, that's disgusting, but it just keeps burrowing away at the back of it. I really like it, and I don't know why. It looks really tacky and really gross, but I just can't get it out of my head. So yeah, each to their own. Alistair will agree to disagree, but I'm afraid I would much rather have my Les Paul, my black Les Paul with gold hardware rather than chrome. I think it looks way better. It doesn't look as contemporary, I guess.
I was going to say, your chrome hardware on that black would be a bit more pedestrian, but it's a custom. It's got a bit of weight to it.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be special, isn't it? And I mean, Les Pauls back in the day were the gold top Les Paul was the first iteration of Les Paul. And Les Paul wanted it to be gold to be perceived to be of a premium product because it's literally gold coloured.
To be fair though, on the Cherry Burst, gold would be vile. I've seen them. I've seen one with a
I disagree.
I've seen a casino in red.
Yeah.
With gold hardware.
Well, it's the whole Freddie King thing. It's like this 70s thing,
yeah.
isn't it? So I sort of think of those guys.
Well, he had Flying V's with gold hardware as well, didn't he, Freddie King?
I think...
Orange Flying V, white scratch plate, gold hardware.
I think you might be thinking of Albert King.
Yes, sorry.
There's the three kings.
The three.
But
it
was that sort of symbolism of wealth, though, wasn't it? And that's why, you know, the ES355 was deemed to be the top model and was saved exclusively for your BB Kings, your Albert Kings, your sort of these sort of almost stately bluesmen, you know. So yeah, moving on then. Thank you for that, Alistair. Thanks for watching. Chewy chimed in on the last episode saying Wild Wild Guitars in Selby is a great guitar shop. I bought my PRS from there. I know this is on the
YouTube.
Yeah, I think we were talking about because we're when this episode airs, we will be at the Leeds Bradford Guitar Show.
Yeah, the morning of.
The morning of. I know of one of the students that comes to see us. I won't name him because I don't think he wants to be named. Recently bought a 62 spec SG from there, and it's lovely. It's really, really nice. And apparently it's like a proper old-fashioned guitar shop, but rather than... A lot of these guitar shops have devolved into selling cheap Chinese rubbish because that's all they can get because the suppliers are beating them out. Yeah, pretty much. Whereas they seem like they've really stuck to the guns. And it's well worth a visit. Selby's just a little bit of a schlep for us, isn't it? It's not round the corner, is it?
I was in just north of York yesterday, so I'm glad I didn't know that because I might have made a visit. But never mind.
Very good. And then finally, Gareth chimes in. Great show, guys. In my 1001 Guitars You Wish You'd Own, I've got an 80s Floyd Rose equipped Superstrat. Very cool beast. Great news about the live podcast format. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm working on Rhinestone Cowboy as my project, one to sing and play. And there's a bit of some other stuff as well, which I'll cut out.
Yeah, I responded to that.
We're not going to feed into that. Yeah, I'm currently after a guitar with a Floyd Rose. It may or may not make the live show. If I find one in time, we'll see. So yeah, for those of you that are unaware, we're running a live show where we host the podcast live on Saturday, the 8th of November. I have so many dates swimming around my head. It's
a lot of events.
Saturday, the 8th of November, where we're going to do a live podcast at a local village hall. There's still a few tickets left. It'd be great for anybody who wants to come and support us. And we're going to do a bit of a meet and greet afterwards. That's going to be good fun. So, should we round that off? Should we call that for today, George?
Yeah, I think we should.